Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulihi kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. As ever, we thank Allah much. We ask Allah Ta'ala to give us the wherewithal to express the information in a way that is beneficial, and that as many people as possible that bother to utilize the service can benefit. We want to try to make it clear and informative, but at the same time, we want to really try to stick to teaching the detail of the matter as well. So, because we want to do this, truly, everybody who wants to learn Arabic, or at least many people who want to learn Arabic, would like to become fluent and speak to people in the Arabic language. But I want to tell you honestly, candidly, that I hope that for everybody. But the primary goal for me is to try to make the language make sense and the way it operates make sense, so that a person can have enough of a relationship with it so they can read the book of Allah and begin to understand, read the Arabic and understand what it's saying, read the ahadith in the Arabic and understand what it's saying. Because as much as people try to explain it to you, it's really true. You can read the book translated by the best of translators, but there's something different about when you're reading these things and the meanings are coming out to you. There's something different about that, really. And that's what we want. We want to achieve that where reading is something that's possible for us, and we get an understanding from it, inshallah ta'ala. So here we are in our fifth class covering Madinah Book 1, the matter of al, the alif lam for making something definite article with the. After this class, inshallah ta'ala, next week we'll be revising from class 1 to class 5 the things that we covered. Because one of the things that it proves to be a detriment to people who want to study anything, whether it's language or anything else, is the failure to do revision. Not the failure usually on the part of the teachers, but on those of us who are studying. Either our lives become so busy, or we forget, or we become careless, and we don't review. But just try to think about the reality of why you learned the things you did when you were young, when you were in school. When you went to class, the teacher provided information. Then they gave you homework, or they gave you an assignment. They gave you quizzes periodically. Those are because even though the information is provided in the class, your real gaining of knowledge, your real opportunity when you're making that knowledge yours, your possession, when you're making that knowledge yours, is the time you spend dealing with it outside of the classroom. So it's very important, very, very important to deal with these matters that you're gaining access to in your own free time. And you have to try to ask Allah to give you a love for learning this language, and ask Allah to give you the energy and the motivation and make it easy to facilitate it for you. I ask Allah for all of those for us. Ameen. And before anything else, we want to review those 7 matters that we covered from the very first class that will be running through the different chapters in this book, different lessons in this book. And those matters were hadha, which was the masculine for saying this or this is. Hadhihi was the feminine for saying this or this is. These two are called ismu ishara. Remember in the very first lesson, we talked about the 3 parts of speech in Arabic that match the 8 parts of speech in English. Okay, and this is the category of pronouns, which is under ism. So we talked about it being ism, fi'l, and harf. And the reason why we covered that is because when you're doing your studies in the Arabic, you're going to find different parts of speech described by their part of speech first, and then maybe another word following, okay? So this is called ismu ishara. Ishara is something that points out, indicates something, okay? And it's in the category of the isms, right? Part of speech, isms. And hadha and hadhihi they point, like you imagine a finger pointing saying this. This is pointing to a thing that's near you, right? Have that, if that person, place, or thing, or whatever item is near, you say have that when it's masculine. You say have the he when that person, place, or thing, or whatever it is feminine and near. Ismu ishara, which means demonstrative pronoun, pronouns that point to nouns. Dhalika, we said that dhalika means that. It's the opposite of hada. It's masculine for that. When you're pointing, referring to something that's a little distance from you. But remember, hada and hadihi is for qarib. Qarib, that which is near. Dhalika is masculine for that which is not near, that which is far, or across the room. But as long as it's not right here where you say this is, you might point across the room and say that is. Okay, that's for when it's masculine. We said tilka is a demonstrative pronoun, ismu ishara, for when the item is away from you, but it's the feminine for that. Dhalika, that, when it's masculine or a male. Tilka, for that, when it's feminine or a female. All nouns in Arabic are masculine or feminine. Okay? All nouns. And the special thing about nouns and why you have to really try to increase your vocabulary, because no language moves forward in any kind of discussion without nouns. Every time we talk about a thing, we talk about a person, we talk about an idea, we talk about a concept. All of the things that go into the category of ism, you leave them out, where's your conversation? You could say be in what, right? You can say be in, on, under, with. You can say all those words, but you can't make a statement. You have to, if you say be, you have to say be happy, right? You have to go into different things that are fall into ism, like adjectives, things that describe. Inshallah, we'll be going to that later, and maybe in our review next week. Said ma is what? It's asking you about those things that are not human beings, jinns, angels, or Allah. The things that you wouldn't say who about. What? Everything else goes into that category. Those four groups that I mentioned, those four examples that I mentioned, do not go into this. So that means everything else is under ma, is under what? Animals, inanimate objects, concepts, what? We said men are those four categories that we mentioned, right? Human beings, jinns, angels, and Allah. Every time you have an opportunity that leads you to say who, that's man. And we said that this hamza is called hamza istifham, right? It's a harf. This is a harf, okay? It's a harf that asks a question. If you say hadha bait, this is a house. If you put this hamza in front of it, it turns that into a question. It becomes hadha bait, is this a house? Okay? It's a harf, and the answer for this harf will be na'am, yes, al, or la, yes or no. Okay, it will be, the answer for that would be yes or no. We want to review that. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll come to it again. Tonight we're covering Dars al-Thalithu. This is lesson 3 in the book, but we've combined a few lessons together in those 7 matters. This is lesson 3 for al, okay? And it's a harf. You see, it's a harf. It's a particle. You can just say al, and people would have to ask you, al what? You would say the all day. The what, right? Al is called arf ta'rif, okay? Harfu ta'rif. And ta'rif is the word arif. Arif means to know, to recognize, right? To recognize. So it's a harf that makes something clear, distinct, that you recognize. Okay, so you have two forms that a noun can fall under. The nakira, and nakira means indefinite, right? It means it could be any matter, anything. And you have al-ma'rifa, okay? And ma'rifa is that which is the definite, okay? The definite article. So you can say bait, as we say, right? Baitun, meaning a house. Al-bait, the house. So to explain, this is for your reference and for your notes. And nakira, because I also want to do better about sharing the terms that describe these things that we're doing, inshallah ta'ala. I was going to cover them like later on and list the vocabulary words, but I want to move back over to sharing some of them while we're in the process of discussing how they work. And you keep your glossary, keep your notes neat and covering these, and you'll see that as you're moving forward, it'll begin to become comfortable to you. Okay, so and nakara, this covers shay'un ghayru mu'ayyan, and this means it covers things that are not clear, not distinct, right? They're not certain, right? And in the nahwa, in grammar, that would be baytun, a house, right? Just any house. Qalamun, a pen. Rajulun, a man, right? Like that. Bintun, a girl. And then al-ma'rifa, this covers shay'un mu'ayyan. This covers things that are clear. Nahu, in the grammar, this would be such as al-baytu, meaning the house. Al-qalamu, the house, the specific, the pen. Al-rajulu, the specific man. And al-bintu, the girl. And you notice also as we were doing this, when we put the al, we see that we have rajulu, which is a sun letter. We didn't say al-rajulu, right? We said al-rajulu. Right? This is one of the letters that would have a shadda here and pronounced twice. We would skip over the lam. We wouldn't say al-rajulu. And also I want to remind us, when we have al, if the statement is at the beginning of a sentence or by itself, we'll say al-bayt, even though there's no real carrying of a vowel with this aleph. But when the word is following another word or anywhere in the sentence, you won't say al. You won't say al here. What you'll do is whatever is the last vowel on the word preceding it, that vowel sound will come over and say, for example, if it was in the house, fi is for in, we won't say fi al bait, we'll say fil bait, okay, like that. And we have to change the kasra, but that's another discussion. So don't read a word, finish its vowel and then say al to the word when it follows. We only use al when the word is by itself or at the beginning of a sentence. So for example, baytun, okay, yashmal quda bayut. So this could be referring to, could be including all houses, right? Baytun, this includes all houses, all the houses, okay? Walaysa baytun mu'ayyan. This is saying, I'm sorry, mu'ayyan. Now, this is saying that no house is being made certain. No house is indicated for certain, okay? When we say al-baytu, now, yadu ala bayt. This right here means that it denotes. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have kept this a part of it too. This includes this denotes a specific house, a certain house. Okay. So this is by having the aleph and lam and al-baytu, is clear which house we're talking about. Okay, it refers to, it denotes a specific house. When we say baytun, then this includes all the houses. If you tell your children they got in trouble and they usually go after school, hang out at a friend's house until you come and pick them up when you get off work. But you got a message from the teacher that they had been misbehaving in school, so you tell the teacher to tell them, do not stop at any house. Do not stop at their friend's house. Do not stop at any house except the house, right? So when you tell them to stop at the house, you're talking about your house. And it's clear what house you're talking about when you say the house. Tell them to go straight to the house. They know that means specific house. If you tell them to tell your children, tell the children to go to a house when they get out. They wouldn't have a clue where you want them to go. Does that mean go to our friend's house and have fun? We just got in trouble. Does it mean go home? Doesn't mean go to a house near the school, and so forth and so on. Okay. So here we have some examples of words that are definite, and we're going to cover some statements that go to it. Okay. So here we have the owl. And again, remember, we're pronouncing the owl because it's at the beginning of the statement here. Okay. And this is al-waladu. And remember, the nouns, they default to a dhamma. And in this case, because it's definite al, then we have waladu. If this was just walad, it would be waladun, right? With a double dhamma. It would be tanween, a double dhamma. It'd be waladun. Waladun, with that sound on the end of the word, means a such and such. In this case, it would have been a boy. Here we have now the boy. Okay. And this is how easy many statements are made of information as it relates to communicating in Arabic. So here we have jalis. Now this word jalis, if you think of the word jalsa, to sit, jalis, when you have the aleph going here and the kasra going this way, is indicating something that's happening currently. So here, al-walidu jalisun, it means the boy is sitting. The boy is sitting. So here you have also some information. This is what you call a jumla that starts with a noun. This is a sentence that begins with a noun. Okay? And you have the noun and the information telling you what the noun is doing. Okay? Mubtada and the khabar. The khabar is the information. The mubtada is the subject. Okay, so you have your subject and information about what the subject is doing. So we have al. And again, remember when we talked about last week, here you have jalisu, right? Sitting. Jalisun, meaning the boy is sitting. So remember we said that the tanween is not just general, but it tells us a, right? A boy, an apple. In English, we would have that tanween telling us to say a or an, depending on if there's a vowel starting the word, etc. In English. It also tells you that something currently is a situation. Okay? So here you have al-waladu jalisu. They're telling you the boy is sitting. Now let's just suppose we wanted to say, go into the room and get that boy to come outside. And someone says, well, which boy, right? Aye, which boy? And if you said al-waladul jalisu, if you put the alif lam here and made this jalis definite, you would then be saying the sitting boy. See, the boy that's sitting, not just the boy is sitting. The boy is sitting is a piece of information. I went inside to get the boy you wanted. The boy is sitting down. Okay? But if you wanted to indicate distinguishing which boy you want somebody to choose from, right? Then you have to tell them the sitting boy, right? Because saying the boy is sitting is giving you information that the boy is not standing. But the sitting boy means that specific person. Of all the boys in there, we just want you to get the one who's sitting down. Clear? Inshallah, we'll try to cover some of that more too. See? Wal mudarrisu, the teacher, the instructor. Remember we said the root dars is lesson, right? And we said that when you put mim dhamma to the root word, it describes the one who has the characteristics of that thing, right? So dars is an instruction, a lesson. Mudarris is the one who gives the instruction, the instructor. So now here's an example of what we were talking about earlier. You see how we have the wa and we have al-mudarris, right? Al-mudarris is the instructor. But whenever you have a word before this, whatever is the vowel connected to that word, it goes all the way over the lam. Okay, it goes over the lam. I'm sorry, over the aleph to the lam. If the letter is a moon letter, right, then we would understand the sukoon is here. We say wal, and then we pronounce the letter mim. If this was a sun letter, we would go over the lam and the aleph to the letter, doubling it, right? Like if this was saying Shams, the sun, right? We say Ashams, Ashams. But we wouldn't say Wa Ashams, we say Washams. So here, whatever letter, whatever vowel follows the word preceding a word that has al in front of it, this is wasl. This means continuation. Continue the sound that you have here and take it here, right? So we say wal. We don't say wa al. We know wa means and, right? So we don't have to say wa al. We say wal. Clear? Wal. Wal mudarrisu. Wal mudarrisu. And notice again, right? We have al. So this won't be mudarrisun. The definite always takes a singular regular dhamma. Okay? Wal mudarrisu waqifun. Waqifun. And the instructor, waqifun, is standing. Okay, so whatever you don't have in your vocabulary, make your notes, get your words. This is jalisu, means sitting. Waqifu means standing. So el waladu, the boy, jalisu, is standing. Sitting. While mudarrisu, waqifu, is standing. Okay, jalis, waqif. You see how we have this it usually is that pattern, that rhythm, that pattern with the vowels usually describes a current present thing happening or the one who's doing the thing. Okay, but you say, I went to take a hifz class. Every week we go to learn to memorize some of the Quran, hifz, right? And then we say the person who is doing the memorizing, we call him what? Hafiz, right? Hafiz, Hafiz. See, like they say, oh, he's a Hafiz. No, he's not a Hafiz. He's Hafiz, right? So you see the it. Let observation be your guide, and you'll notice that when you're reading, them things will follow a pattern, and they'll give you an idea of what you're doing. Okay, inshallah ta'ala. So here we want to cover some usage with the al on our nouns, and inshallah ta'ala we learn a few sifa, a few adjectives, a few words that describe those nouns. So the first is al-kitabu jadidun. Al-kitab, the book, jadidun. The book is new. Jadid means new. Al-kitabu jadidun. The book is new. And here again, see, wal qalamu, wal, see, we don't say wa al. Make a note. Wal, wal, wal qalamu. And why do we say lam? Because qaf and kaf, right, are both moon letters. Okay? Al-kitab, al-kitabu jadidun. Wal qalamu, and the moon, moon letter, and the pen, qadimun, qadimun, and the pen is old. Don't say this to people. Don't call somebody qadim. It's like you're trying to indicate they're old. Okay, qadim. Second point, al-himaru. Himar. What is himar again? Anyone remember what himar is? Naam, donkey. Al-himaru, the donkey. Sagiru, sagirun, sagir. Sagir means small. The donkey is small. Wal, and we see this ha is a moon letter, right? So we're pronouncing the lam. Wal, hisanu, 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 and the horse, kabirun, and the horse is big. Now here's another example too. You see these words that describe, these adjectives that describe using the ya, the e sound. These are giving you an extreme, a firm example of the description. We talked about that aleph. Inshallah ta'ala, we still have a video that we want to present sometime this week. with a one-letter words, and we're starting with the aleph, right? The hamza, the aleph, and we indicated that when you put the hamza istifham in front of a sentence or a statement, it turns it into a question. But another one of the uses is that it also elevates the magnitude or the dimensions of what the word means. For example, here's something we're already familiar with. See how we have kabir, right? Kaf, fatah, da, ya, ra. Okay, we have kabir, right? Kabirun, right? This means big. But just think about it. What's the word that we say when we want to indicate that Allah is bigger or greater? Right? We say akbar. So you take this word, you put that aleph in front of it with a fatah, a sukoon goes on this kaf. You say ak, and then you have ba fatah ra, akbar. Akbar means bigger, okay? Akbar means bigger. So here, the same thing with sagir, we would say asgar, asgar. Okay, that would be increasing on how small it is. Okay, asgar, smaller, akbar, bigger, greater. Again, as we go through, just keep letting observation be your guide, and you'll see how formulating the morphology of the words, how a word changes. Again, as I always say, think about if someone came to America and they only spoke Arabic or any other language, and they wanted to learn English, and they come to you and they say, "I want, visited my family across town," and you're saying, "Okay, he means he wanted to, right? He left out to, he wanted to visit." He doesn't know, or she doesn't know, how to change the form of the words to say what they want to say. They're picking up some vocabulary, so they are saying words. They are giving you enough as a native of the language to have an idea what they're trying to say because they have some vocabulary. You're just helping them with the morphology of the word. You're helping them change want to wanted. You're helping them change visited to visit because it's what they want to do. It hasn't happened yet. You're helping them define the difference in the present tense, future tense, etc. You're helping them define if something is bigger or smaller, right? You're helping them understand the ER, what it does on a word, the ING, what it does on a word. This is what you do with Arabic. If you just watch the patterns, you begin to see the different ways that words are impacted, and it starts becoming a part of a relationship with you, inshallah. Okay? Al-Kursiyu, Al-Kursiyu, that's the chair. Okay? Maksurun, Maksurun. Okay? Now this kaf, sin, and ra, this root word itself refers to something breaking, being put in pieces, fractionalized, anything that has something to do with, it's not in its whole shape anymore, right? So remember that we mentioned that when you put meme and fatah, in front of a noun, it's describing the place where something is done, right? We say you make sujood in your prayer. The place for making sujood is what? Masjid, right? When you have situations where you're describing the condition of something, the meme and fatah now comes into place to describe the condition of the noun, helping the adjective to describe the state of the noun. So here you have the chair, right? Al-Kursiyu, Al-Kursiyu, Maksurun, Maksurun. The chair is broken. That's what this means, broken. Again, as I said, let observation be your guide, and look carefully at how this book is constructed and how many gems begin to come to you in terms of understanding how the language works from the very beginning. We're still in such an introductory level of this book in lesson 3, right? Okay, we have al-mindilu, al-mindilu, the handkerchief, the handkerchief, the handkerchief. Wasiqun, wasiqun. This means the handkerchief is dirty. Wasif means dirty. The handkerchief is dirty. Al-ma'u, Ma'u is water. And Hamza, you see how the Hamza is carrying? You have the Ma'u, right? This Hamza, its meaning, when you look up the word Hamza, it means to goad, to push on. You know how, say some little kid is getting bullied by someone. But the person is not really tough, but the kid just doesn't believe he can fight or doesn't believe he can beat this kid. And someone comes along and says, "Listen, man, you have to stop letting this guy push you around. You can take him. You can take him. Next time he comes in the yard, just hit him real hard in the jaw." Bullies always go to pieces when you just punch him hard in the face, right? So they're goading this kid on, goading him, telling him, "You can do this." The thing with Hamza is this. In English, you know how we can have a word starts with a vowel, right? We can have a word, we can have two vowels in a place, P-E-A-C-E for peace, right? We can have two vowels together, right? Or we can have, trying to find an English example, but the Arabic words keep coming to my head. Sorry, an English example. Not the diphthongs, not words like routine R or U, but words where you have the word going one way and then the next vowel goes in another direction, right? The English language can do that. In Arabic, every vowel has to have a letter or a consonant to carry it. Has to have a letter to carry it. So meme, here you have al-ma, a fatah would be here al-ma. Remember this aleph is there to let you know that it's elongating a fatah. So even if you don't see it here, it's doing its job. There's a fatah here, okay, to be pronounced al-ma. But here, a dhamma couldn't just exist in the word just sitting there by itself. It would have to have another letter. Hamza is saying to the dhamma, move with me. You can do this. You can move in a word any way you want, right? You have the malaik. When you want to say the plural of angels, right? You say malaik. That sound is because Hamza is carrying that kesra. If you say a word like su'al, right? Su'al, Hamza is bringing that fatah. Okay, so it's different examples like that. When you hear a shift and you hear the vowel being carried with the e in a formation like that, that's Hamza carrying. That's Hamza telling the vowel, you can go here. Okay, well, ordinarily you couldn't go without a letter there. So al-ma'u, when we say inshallah, right? That on the word sha, there's a Hamza at the end where you're saying sha. That is what's going over to the word. So you're not saying insha'Allah, you're saying insha'Allah, insha'Allah. That fatah that's on top of that Hamza after sha, that fatah is carrying your word Allah. Insha'Allah, like that. That's why we don't say inshallah, it's insha'Allah. Okay? MashaAllah. Sha'a means will. The word is sha'a. So MashaAllah, not mashallah, because that's saying Allah walked. Not inshallah, inshallah. Okay? That's the Hamza doing that. Okay? So al-ma'u baridun. I hope these little tidbits will serve some purpose and help you see them popping out when you're reading as you move forward, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? Al-ma'u, the water, baridun. Al-ma'u baridun. The water is cold. Barid. It's cold. Okay? So you see these are describing conditions and states and adjectives that are describing the condition or the state or how something is its characteristics, right? Okay? Al-Qamaru Jamilun. Al-Qamaru, the moon, Jamilun. The moon is beautiful. Jamil. And here's another thing to remember that when we get to the nouns that are of the feminine, the ones that we would say hadihi or tilka in front of, hadihi such and such, like sayada, like a car. when you have nouns that are feminine, now I'm giving you this now, even though it's not coming in front of you, but when we come to it, you'll remember it and you'll have more relationship with it when it reaches you, okay? Inshallah ta'ala. So al-qamaru, the moon, jamilun. The moon is beautiful, right? So here we're describing the moon is beautiful. Now, if we had a car, for example, a feminine noun, we say as-sayyara, right? Because we're dealing with a sun letter, as-sayyaratu, right? As-sayyaratu, the car, jamila, right? Jamilatun, jamilatun, right? Jamila. So we would have after this lam, we would have the Tamabuddha. Remember Tamabuddha? Where you have the hat attached to it that has the two dots on it, right? The closed tab, right? Tamabuddha. It would be Jamila. Okay? We have Salima, right? We remember we have the feminine version of a thing by putting the Tamabuddha on. Okay? Here we have Al Baytu, the house, Qaribun. The house is near. Remember the word qarib? We learned qarib when we dealt with the fact that hadha refers to things that are qarib, things that are near, right? Qarib. Anything that you see that you don't remember that we've covered, you should go back over your notes and make sure it's in your notes. If it's not, add it to your notes and begin to, like I said, get those index cards and start working on vocabulary, because vocabulary is king. The more you work on your vocabulary, the stronger you begin to become in recognizing words in these lessons and in various things you may want to read. Vocabulary is king. Grammar, that's the master of the whole thing. Mastering the language is grammar. Okay? So al-baytu qaribun. The house is near. Like if we're traveling, we're in an Uber or we're driving our own vehicle or we're riding with someone and they want to know about where we're going in terms of our town because they're not from there. We say al-baytu qaribun. The house is near. The house is close to where we are. Wal, remember? Wa, fatah, goes past the alif to the lam. Wal masjidu, and the masjid, ba'idun. The masjid is far. The house is near, and the masjid is far. Okay? Again, remember, you never say wa and then al. Whatever word is in front of the word that has al, whatever vowel is at the end of that word goes over past the aleph to its place in that word. Okay? Al-hajaru. What is hajar? Hajar, stone or rock, right? Al-hajaru thaqilun. Thaqilun. The rock is heavy. The rock is heavy. The rock is heavy. Wow, right? Wow, because wow is a moon letter, so we say the owl, right? So we say wow. We don't say wow. Keep remembering that. You don't say owl after the word in front of it. You take that vowel from the word before it, and you go straight over. Wow, waraqu, and the paper, khafifun, and the paper is light. The rock is heavy, and the paper is light. Now, what we've been doing here, as you can see, is following the pattern that we wanted to set since our first lesson, right? Learning things and learning the opposites, so we know things by the opposites. So when you're learning two opposite words, and you work on them together, either you'll get both of them memorized for where they belong, or if you master one, when you see the other, you know that it means the opposite of the one you learn. So if your mind will build a pattern, if you take qarib and ba'id and you work on these two words together, okay, ba'id is near. No, it's not. Qarib is near, right? What happens is after a while, one will become able to stick with you, but you know that they belong together in a pair. Study them together. Study opposites together. Qarib and ba'id. Study them together. So if you get qarib down, you'll see, even if you don't remember ba'id in your mind, when you see it, you'll remember that it's the opposite of your other word. So if you see it and you don't remember what ba'id means, but you remember what qarib is, you know ba'id is that other word. So it's obviously far, like that. I'm mentioning these things because another thing that's very, very important when you're studying anything, whether it's language or anything, when you're studying, you always have to try to find the easiest way to make it work for you. Okay, you have to find methods that make something stick for you, that make something work. Inshallah ta'ala. Okay, al-lebanu, al-lebanu, leban is milk in most places, in many places, but it usually refers to like yogurt or something like that. And halib is used to refer to milk in the general broader scale. But we say lebanun, and for the purposes of the book, it's referring to milk. Al-lebanu, harun. Al-lebanu, harun. Har means it's hot. Okay, the milk is hot. And see here, this lam is a sun letter. So we went past this. Now what should be here is a shadda. We went past here, this lam, we didn't stop on it. We're stopping here. We're saying al-leba. We're not saying al-leban. We're saying al-leban. Because here, we're doubling this. Like we said, ashams, we're doubling the lam for that purpose. So we have a shadda here. The word is leba, lam fatah, ba fatah nun, leban. Right? So there's a shadda because it's coming from back here. At 11, okay? It's a sun letter. This is how you see in Allah. When you're reading the word Allah, you're not reading A-L. You're not reading here L. You're skipping over that first lam that you see on the word Allah, and you come to the second one. And you notice that in Allah, you see a shadda over that second one with a fatah, right? Allah. And it's pointed upwards to show you that you elongate that pronunciation. That's why some of us, when we write Allah with English letters, we put two A's there to tell you it's elongated. Allah. So that's what's taking place there, okay? 11 is the water, the milk is hot. Then we have al-qamisu. The qamis is a shirt, right? Al-qamisu nadhifun. And we didn't put this one with the other opposite. Remember we had wasiq for dirty? This is clean. The shirt is clean. Okay, nadhifun. The shirt is clean. Okay, put these in your vocabulary. Just make your vocabulary list and put the meanings. If you've missed anything, you can always go back to the video once it's completed, inshallah ta'ala. Now here, I'm going to put these new words up because I know it's time for us to go, inshallah ta'ala. I always try not to keep it too long, just to get enough to get some benefit and to work from and to remember, inshallah ta'ala, and not tire the people out. Yes, I'm putting up these new words. Now, when we have new words, it's called al-kalimatul jadid, right? And the kalima is the plural and the feminine. So we have, remember we said jadid, like down here, jadid, but over here we have jadida, right? We have to use the feminine of jadid, okay? Jadida. We'll be covering these things too. But what I want you to do now is take a minute, copy these new words down. Okay, al-qamaru, jadidun, qadimun, wasiqun, wasiqun, nadhifun, nadhifun, harun, harun, baridun, baridun, صغير صغير كبير كبير مفتوح مفتوح. Right, this is for open, like the door is open. Al-babu maftuhun, door is open. Maksuru, maksuru. Thaqilun, thaqilun. Khafifun, khafifun. Jamilun, jamilun. Waqifu, waqifu. Waqifun. And Jalisun, Jalisun. Now, these words, we described their meanings in this previous lesson we just covered, and some we have earlier. We have al-babu maftuhun, right? Some of them we've covered on other places. Inshallah ta'ala. So, Look at this statement, right? Al-Kalimat al-Jadida, and we have new words. Anyone who copies everything on this page and then sends me an email, the email address is abujamiylah@yahoo.com. Anyone who looks at this, copies every word on here, sends me an email with their work. Now, let me say this. Everybody who's in our classes is expected to do this and send me an email with their work. So that part is covered. You're expected to do this and send me an email with what you've written here, not print it out for yourself, but write it and send me a picture of it, inshallah ta'ala, at the email address. And anyone who does this, and when they send me the email address, tells me or shows me where the error is on this page, inshallah ta'ala, we'll give them a prize. Okay? Al-Kalimatu Jadida. Al-Kalimatu Jadida. And then the rest of the words, cover this, write these words down, send me a picture of your work, what you've written, and if you tell me where the error is on this page, we'll send you a prize, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? And that's what we wanted to cover today for our class from the Medina book 1, inshallah ta'ala. أقول قال هذا. Having said this, أستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحان الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وآخر دعوانا والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بالإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.